Welcome to the Online Entrepreneur Experience podcast that details the ins and outs, the how-tos, and the ups and downs of living a life of an online business owner.
What's going on, everybody? Kelland Chafee, Mr. Mark Wilson from digitalfreedommovement.com. Today, we're going to be talking about the two massive things that motivate like 99.9% of humans on this planet. And those two things are A, movies, B, music, right? So today, me and Mark want to kind of change it up a bit. And we're each going to choose one movie that we feel has impacted us or inspired us in a specific way or made us feel a certain way. So Mark, I think I'm gonna let you go first because,
All right, sounds good. I'm gonna talk about two movies at one time because they kind of, the reason being is the exact same one. And that's, did you watch the movie Rudy, like growing up?
Rudy?
Rudy. No, it's a football movie, so I wasn't sure if you would have watched it. I know sports movies, not your peanut butter and jelly, but Rudy, one of the most popular movies I think in sports, about a guy that all his life he just wanted to play football for Notre Dame. And the other movie that I think has a similar, moral of the story to it is John Wick, which is. So polar opposite. There's this inspiring, heartfelt story of a young guy that just wants to play football, and then there's just murder and killing everywhere. So how do these two things relate? And I'm going to talk about focus and commitment, because those two things are two of the most powerful things that you can have in your life if you're trying to achieve something. If you're not focused on something, if you're not committed to it, you're most likely not going to achieve it. Now, both of these people within John Wick and Rudy both had tons of challenges in their way. And Rudy was not talented, too small, probably should have never played football, but he had the heart and he had the drive for it. And John Wick, he had 1 billion people trying to kill him through 3 movies over and over again. And they're just so committed to making sure that they get through their journeys to get to what they wanted. Rudy was to play football and John Wick was not to die. And, with John Wick, it's crazy. And I'm sure you've seen this in other movies too, but I just love John Wick. I've watched those movies so many times. But there's this one scene in it and he's about to get killed. There's a knife and it's so close to his throat. And he's in a very, very bad position that he's about to take it. And most people would be focused on like, don't get stabbed with this knife, don't get stabbed with this knife, right? Like that's how most of us think just in regular every single day life, right?
In my head, it'd be more like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck.
Probably a little bit of that too.
Not like, how am I gonna dodge this blade? It's just gonna be like, oh shit, I'm gonna get stabbed.
Yeah, 100%, right? And that's how the majority of us will react. But he's focused on killing the other guy. That's what his focus on, not just not dying, not the oh fuck, but how am I gonna the 3 steps ahead of this. So not only does he still get stabbed with a blade, but he takes control of the situation, which all of us in life can take control of our lives. We just give away the control a lot of the time. So he not only takes the knife, stabs himself with it, but he does this thing that hurts himself so he can take back control of his life and murk this guy. And to me, that's just so profound with how committed he is to his cause, living, that he has no problem hurting himself, failing for the moment so he could have the long-term gains, which is just super, super amazing. And then with Rudy, kind of same thing. He goes through practices every single day of getting the shit kicked out of him by people that are double his size and everything, tossing him around just so he can prep his favorite team so they can go out and win. And hopefully one day he gets to play for them. And everyone respected him so much that he continued to fail every fucking day, but get up and be committed to his cause. And I think those things are just so profound and so much success can be drawn from it.
On next week's episode, Mark and Kelland are gonna have a knife fights. You're gonna want to hop on video for that one, boys and girls. Could you imagine if every single person had the same mentality, being stabbed with a knife or having your life taken as, living through life stagnant, right? Because, I feel like when enough of you hit this point of desperation in your life, just as I did, just as Mark did, becoming successful there's no, it's not an option. It's succeed or die, right? And it's funny that some people have that mentality and some people don't.
And it's crazy because you essentially, like, if I would have stayed on the same pathway that I was on, I was dying, but just like I would have been an empty vessel going through life, but my soul would have been dead and I would have never been happy, right?
That's very fucking real. It's very true. I was a heavy duty mechanic before. A lot of the drivers that we'd have, these gentlemen are typically older, like, late 30s, 40s, 50s, some of them even early 60s, driving a rig. Scary thought, I know. And they get back to the yard when the shift was over, when the job was done, and they looked dead. Like there was no emotion on their face. They're just dragging ass, and they look like they were already dead. And it's sad to look at. But what else are they going to do? Right? It's all they know how to do. So that's soulless. Being soulless is a real thing. Moving on. Okay, so the movie that I choose to talk about and has a lot of significance and motivation for me was a movie called Pay It Forward. And I believe it was this, can't remember his name, but he's from The Sixth Sense.
I think it's Haley Joel Osment, bro. I think so.
Haley Joel Osment?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Anyways, me and Mark were just talking about how he used to be such a cute kid, and then he grew up and he's just a slob. Anyways, that's irrelevant. You guys don't know what that movie was about. It's about a young boy. Mother was an alcoholic, grew up in Vegas, and he developed a system where you were to do a favor for 3 different people. And then, so he would just do these amazing things for various people. And he said, in return, you must do 3 favors for 3 random strangers. And the idea was that if every single person followed this method, the world would transform into this perfect world, so to speak. And I really, really stood by that. It just goes to show that not one man can make a difference, but if one man can influence 3 others to do the exact same thing he did, we can do it together, right? It's like, and that's very applicable to a lot of different things, like even protesting. Like one man on a street ain't gonna do anything, but if he has 10,000 followers and they're all protesting for whatever reason, that can now make a difference. Right. So it's more so, stand up for what you believe in. And, even though the odds are against you, you can still make a change. So that's that. I really, really enjoyed that movie. I haven't seen it since I was like 14 or something. It's not even on Netflix or Prime anymore, but it was a movie that really inspired me and a movie that I really enjoyed. So
honestly, man, I think that's almost like the platform that we stand on at Digital Freedom Movement. And it's crazy because there's so many of our community members that we passed along gifts and knowledge and motivation to, and they almost feel like it's their mission to do the exact same thing. And I think that's what creates such amazing communities and amazing places to go. And I mean, you see these workforces, and I know you've been probably part of good and bad, and there's that one person that drags everybody else down and tries to make 3 other people's lives shit that day, and then it's a ripple effect and it goes through, and it goes the same with the positive and negative. And if every day you wake up and even just smile at somebody else, it can have that ripple effect, right?
Yeah. And it goes for ages and ages and ages. Like, think about it. Like, if my mentor wouldn't have gotten started or started mentoring others, then I wouldn't be here. You can argue that maybe I would have found a different mentor, but we'll never know. But if I wouldn't have hit that point of desperation, I wouldn't have gone online. I wouldn't have began coaching, and Mark wouldn't be here, and then DFM wouldn't exist. All the people that we've helped, all the people that we've coached wouldn't be here. And so it is quite the ripple effect. Like, it will go for potentially hundreds of years. Like, you know what I mean? So really, really interesting stuff. Anyways, guys, we appreciate you for tuning in to today's podcast. If you guys have questions, concerns, please do email us at info@digitalfreedommovement.com. Or if you have input on a movie that inspired you and why, that'd be great to hear the feedback. As well as thank you for everybody who's dropping us reviews. It's muchly appreciated. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Much love.
Thanks for tuning into the Online Entrepreneur Experience. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes that we're releasing and any of these amazing pieces of value that we're giving out. And if you could take the time out of your day and leave us a review, we would be so grateful. We look forward to seeing you on that next episode.